Here's a thought. Out-of-body experiences, which include astral projections, near-death experiences, and even lucid dreams, are some of the most profound experiences a human being can have. Along with other mystical experiences such as the entheogenic experience, I believe that an astral projection is one of the activities that a human being can perform that gives the most depth to existence. For it can be a practical answer to the greatest human questions, such as whether it might be possible for subjectivity to remain after the death of the body, of the physical body. And this is important because it permits us to delve deeper into the question of what consciousness is. And moreover, it's an unprecedented existential adventure, even if it's just an hallucination and doesn't have a correspondence to physical reality. If out-of-body experiences are just a mental mechanism, just something taken as being not objectively real, this doesn't make this subjectivity any less significant. For those who think that out-of-body experiences is not objective reality, well, it's real enough. I just say it's real to the point that anyone would be amazed by this phenomenon if they happen to live it. I am of the same opinion as Terence McKenna, who said in a lecture that if we could remember all the details of dreams perfectly, then the use of entheogens would become obsolete. And I agree, because remembering dreams turns out to be an exercise that will progressively facilitate lucid dreaming, eventually turning an ordinary dream into an out-of-body experience phenomenon. For the audience that is listening to me and that already has some experience in this form of mysticism, you can certainly confirm that it is indeed one of the most incredible experiences one can have, especially if the out-of-body experience is provoked by techniques that are now known as W.I.L.D or wake-induced lucid dream, because the change of mind and perception is not interrupted by a sleep phase. The continuity of consciousness is maintained, and the transformation from an everyday ordinary mental state to a trance state is witnessed indeed. It's a markedly different mental state, and this transition can be terrifying for some, mainly because of the secondary effects, the side effects, so to speak, resulting from the separation of the astral body from the physical body. These secondary effects, in my experience, are always very, very intense, and as I proceed in my method, and I'm going deeper and beyond the hypnagogic phase, the first clue I have that I am delving into an altered state of consciousness in this form of meditation is when I feel dissociation in terms of proprioception, that is, the sense of movement, strength and body position. I feel a wavering even though I know my physical body is still. Then I feel the energy points, widely known as chakras, they become activated, and I feel them as if a mixture of a pulsar or a distinct and localized heat, sometimes aligned in a meridian that goes from the navel region to the top of the head. More advanced in this process, there were times I felt my lower abdomen bubbling as if it were a cauldron of boiling water. At other times, but more rarely, I felt a kind of rising impression that starts at the base of the perineum and goes up along the spine. This, I think, was the rising of what is generically called as Kundalini. In dozens of astral projections, this happened to me maybe 4 times. But accompanying these phenomena, the most terrifying for me is, without doubt, the vibrations and sound. The vibrations that run through the whole body is a very intense sensation. It is not painful, but it is disconcerting, which is why I almost always panic. When the separation is occurring, I do try to convince myself that it's a natural process, but it's always a difficult phase for me. These vibrations are comparable maybe to being electrocuted, but without pain, and the sound is as if it was a cauldron. Or imagine being under a train, between the lines, between the trails, and hearing the continuous rumble of the train passing above you. That's how I perceive the sound. And this is also very intense and sometimes very frightening. And while this is happening, I try to maintain my intention and focus on separating from the physical body. The mind must always be focused on movement, but this is not a physical movement, because the body is asleep. It is a visualization that translates to a physical sensation. In this transitional plane of existence, it is the focus derived from visualization that is sovereign, that is prime. Obviously, it's not a physical impulse. The physical body must be at this stage completely paralyzed. So separation of the astral body from the physical body is an art in itself. There are those who feel that the astral body, which is beginning to loosen by this point, is wrapped in a kind of a rubber band. This is what I feel too. Another analogy is the feeling that the astral body has a magnetic attraction to the physical body. For me, the best technique for separation is rolling out of bed instead of lifting horizontally from the bed or diagonally. So this is somehow more difficult, but once released and free, there is a distance from the physical body where nothing is seen, but there may be a spatial perception of the place one is in, the room where the physical and the astral body still resides. That is, it is as if the astral body possesses an expanded aura that touches all the physical details of the room, so you know where you are. Now, by having discernment where one is in the room, the challenge is to move far enough away from being under the influence of the physical body. So, once far enough, one becomes aware of the side from the astral body. This side, for me and for many, is a kind of a 360-degree view, 360-degree vision. It's a little complicated to explain how it is, but imagine that you don't have to turn around to see what's going on. It's like some fisheye lens, but without the sense of distortion. It's a kind of optics that has a spherical opening instead of a conical one like our human vision. I've never seen my silver cord, but that's another common trait for some astral travelers. So today I'm telling you about astral projections, which for about 10 years now have also been called wake-induced lucid dreams in certain circles. 20 years ago, when I first started this quest, astral projections and lucid dreams were considered to be almost like distinct phenomena, and it was implied that it was necessary, different methods were necessary to have these experiences. But now the literature has come up with another names, another nomenclature for these different approaches to the out-of-body experience. So now we have wake-induced lucid dream, or W.I.L.D, and mnemonic-induced lucid dream, or M.I.L.D. Mnemonic has to do with memory and remembering. I've never been proficient in M.I.L.D, but it might be helpful for some of you to try it out. M.I.L.D implies doing reality checks throughout the day in the hope of having a routine that will be reflected later in a dream. The reality checks can be systematically and periodically done, for example looking at a clock and asking the question, am I in a dream right now? And at the same time imagining the digits or the hands or arms of the clock behaving strangely. So the idea is to use a place or an object that is already recurring in your dream. This increases the likelihood that you will dream about that place or object again, but with the routine created by the reality checks throughout the day. In this way, there is the increased possibility that the dreamer can awaken his character in the dream, thus making the dream become lucid. I'm curious about what experiences you've had. Please write them in the comments. If you have already left the body, if you have already left the room, or if you have had pre-exit phenomena such as vibrations and sounds, or even activated your chakra, or even felt the Kundalini rising, tell me what methods do you use? Is it W.I.L.D or M.I.L.D? I'm curious and would love to hear about your experiences. This is a general out-of-body experience video, but I want to make more videos talking about my exits and interesting and comical separation attempts, like for instance false awakening I had. So if you haven't subscribed yet, do so if you want. Personally, astral projections were for me one of the most important steps in spiritual development, if not the most important. Be well.